Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. She give me a bit of her love. Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to another one, man. It's your boy Rod One, and this is Spark-N-Conversation special segment that we call Convo Corner, where I like to call this segment a segment where I talk to those individuals that reach beyond the boundaries of whatever their limitations was. You know, so many of us get caught up in what people think we can and cannot do, and for so many people that's so talented and gifted, they allow those outside influences to cause them to not move further in their visions, right? Or not to complete the things that they know that they was dropped in their spirit for them to do. Most people think that they get these ideas and these things come to them, but they're too big to be completed by them because they're not surrounded by the people that they know can help them get to that certain space. But for those of us that we know that we push beyond that limit and we just believe in ourselves so much that we allow the universe to send us the things that we need versus us trying to chase it, we attract. And so for Convo Corner, that's what we like to do. We like to talk to those people who have that type of energy. Why? Because that's the energy we want to give out to all those other creators out there. It's so much stuff going on in the world that's against us. And for us that are creatives, we cannot fall behind the 8 ball. We got to continue to push forward and continue to be creative and use the gifts that God gave us. So without further ado, you know the vibes. I'm going to bring up my co-host real quick before we bring up our special guest. And we're going to tap into her world. Gloria, what's going on?
What's up, Ron?
Ain't nothing. How are you?
Hey, if I get any better, I think I've died and gone to heaven.
Oh man, all right. Well, that's the only thing we want to say. Don't get better then, because that's crazy. But nah, definitely, I definitely feel that. Word. So how's your week been?
My week's been good. It's been peaceful, busy, but peaceful, and I like it when it's peaceful.
All right, yeah, because ain't nothing like peace, y'all. You got to protect that at all costs nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Well, so look, let's talk a little bit about the brother Alain that we got on today. You know, because I know you spoke to him already for the magazine. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about your perspective.
Oh, Alain is going to enlighten a lot of people today about the nation of Haiti and what really transpired and caused Haiti to get into the shape that it's in today. People are going to be surprised because a lot of people have never heard this story before. So that's why I'm glad we have him on the platform today so that he can educate us on what really happened to the country of Haiti.
That's right. And the project that she's referring to, for those of y'all that will be watching this right here, is The Forgotten Occupation, right? And it had a title when I saw it was The Forgotten Occupation, Jim Crow Goes to Haiti. I thought that was like, oh man, that's bananas right there, because so many people got all these different stories about Haiti, but they're like, you know, splatted, so to speak. You know, they talk about how it is over here and sharing the island with the Dominicans, and it's this and it's that. You know, they talk about all these things and everything that happens to it bad, but they don't talk about how it became in that condition that it became in. So this is going to be a great conversation to have with the brother Alain. So listen, let's just bring him up real quick because, we need all the time we can get to talk about this, right?
Yes.
Alain, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on? Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, man, definitely. We appreciate you for coming and joining us and being willing to share your story with us, for real.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So look, if you don't mind, can you, for those that may not know who you are, can you tell the audience who you are and, you know, exactly what you do?
Oof, that's a loaded questions. I do. So my name is, I'm Alain Martin, right? I do a lot of things. One of the things I do is filmmaking. So I'm the writer and director of The Forgotten Occupation, Jim Crow Goes to Haiti, which is a personal meditation on the U.S. occupation of Haiti from 1915 to 1934. And, you know, I call it the forgotten occupation because, well, nobody seems to know about it, right? So we call it the forgotten occupation.
Right. And I think that was the thing about it for me whenever I was doing my research on you, and I was reading on what was wrote about your film, and that it was a documentary style, number one, which I think is a great way to tell that story versus just doing a feature film.
Right.
I think that a feature film could definitely come out of it. Probably like a series of feature films could come out of that, right?
I've thought of that. So if anybody in the audience got some real money, hit me up. Let's do it.
You're right. You know what I'm saying? Because I was thinking about that. I was like, yo, this could be a real thing because, you know, period pieces, a lot of times in entertainment, it help paint the picture of where people are now, like when they get to see that story told. So we realize that the story is a little more personal for you. So would you mind everybody, like, what makes it personal? You're from Haiti or you're this Haiti, so would you mind how this resonates for you?
So yes, I'm from Haiti, was born in Haiti, was raised in Haiti. Because I came here at a young age, as a teenager, maybe 13 years old, didn't get enough time to get acclimated with Haitian history beyond the Haitian Revolution. So I had not known about the U.S. occupation until I actually migrated to the United States. But let me give a quick run back. So in Haiti, you know, the little community that I lived in were obsessed with watching American films. And those films we were watching were mostly, you know, action films, the Rambos, Commandos, Missing in Action, and Superman. And for us, that was America, right? Americans were the good guys, the saviors. They came into a place and just made it better, right? And that's the only framework I had of the U.S. So now, in my apartment in Queens, in Queens, New York, we had a bootleg cable, man. There's a dude in the building, you could pay $50. Denny. What's up, Denny? I don't know if you're watching this, but Denny will come to your cribs. He'll put a chip on your cable. You get to watch all the movies, man, on Showtime, HBO, or pay-per-view. So one of the movies that came on and caught my attention immediately was Malcolm X, right? So that was the first time, number one, I was watching a movie that was like I wasn't really an action movie or a comedy, and I realized movies could be way more than just action and comedy. And what Malcolm, the character, was saying about the United States sort of blew me away, right? Because that's not what the movies I was watching taught me about the U.S., right? I mean, the U.S. is like Sylvester Stallone or Chuck Norris and going into Vietnam and making things better. But here, I'm hearing Malcolm talk about, you know, there's like this dark, evil history of the country. And it shocked me to my core, all right? So that got me into Black history, KKK, the civil rights, the brutality of slavery, things I hadn't known, all right? So now fast forward to a couple of years later, I'm in college taking an elective. And I decided to take that elective on Haitian history because, again, I didn't know that much about Haitian history. And I learned about the U.S. occupation, right? Because when I learned there was an occupation, even before I read anything, the first thing that came to mind is, wait a minute. If the U.S. invaded Haiti in 1915, which is at the height of the Jim Crow era, right? When the KKK is being revived, when Birth of a Nation comes out and Woodrow Wilson plays it in the White House, when Woodrow Wilson himself was this avowed segregationist who was very resentful of the end of slavery and of Black people making strides up the social ladder. And he's the one that ordered the U.S. occupation. How were the same white Marines going into a Black country, you know, that they knew nothing about, they didn't speak the language, they were unfamiliar with the religion. How were they going to treat those Black folks, right? When they were dehumanizing Black folks who live with them here, who spoke the same language and had the same religion, right? And so, of course, the first piece of literature I read on it was James Weldon Johnson's self-determined in Haiti. So James Weldon Johnson was actually the secretary of the NAACP. The NAACP had sent him to Haiti to investigate the occupation. So when he came back, he wrote Self-Determined in Haiti, which I read. And the things I read shocked me so much, moved me so much. I found him to be unbelievable. This was maybe over 20 years ago. And I said, man, I got to share this with the world, man. Right? It took me a while. But yeah, I stuck to that promise. And that's, which resulted in this documentary that we're talking about, The Forgotten Occupation, Jim Crow Goes to Haiti.
Right. And that's what I was thinking too about purpose, right? We talk about that a lot on this platform. And we say that a lot of times people find their purpose in an unfamiliar way, right? Like there's a lot of people who think that they know what they're supposed to do because maybe they like to play sports or maybe they're good at certain things. But then when something pricks you emotionally and then it just like rings your spirit, it's like another tug, right? And I think that's when we find our purpose. I know for most people that lived during a time where things were tough for just us being Black in this country. The people outside of this country, they all came here with a preconceived notion of who we are over here, which is how Black Americans are here, right? Because a lot of people from other countries, they look at it like we're lazy, we're ungrateful, we don't want much. They talk about welfare, all of these things that they feel like that makes us. And that's just a small percentage of us. And then when people come over here and they finally meet us, they be like, wait a minute, y'all do all this? It's like, yeah, like, what was you thinking? It was like, because that's not what they show us on TV. So whenever you said the movies shaped your frame, shaped your mind on how it looked in America, that's the same way that they did when they towards a certain group of people in America for people outside. And that's what's so crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember being a very young girl, and if you grew up like in the 60s and 70s era, I remember when the KKK was really strong. And I remember this incident really strong. I was a very young girl. And I remember at a certain time, if you were Black, you had to be in, because if you got caught out, the KKK, you might get hung, you might, anything could have happened to you. And I remember having an experience one time because, I was raised as a young girl in Philadelphia, but my father moved us back down the South because this is actually where we're from. My father, family and stuff. He moved us back down the South, but when he did move us back down the South, he moved us right in the country. Now you can imagine it was a culture shock. You come from the city, now you smack dab in the country, and it's only like two families that live on your road. You got us and another family down the street, right? So, but I remember one time when the KKK, they was, I guess, having a good time, and they was not. When I'm serious, in a parking lot right next to our home, not too far feet away, partying and doing whatever. And I remember being very terrified. But my daddy, he was a pretty brave and strong man. And it was night. I remember us being in the bed, and it was night. And I remember running and jumping in the bed with my oldest brother, because my oldest brother was sort of thuggish.
All right.
And I remember going to get in the bed with him because I said, if they come here, I know that he's, I felt safe with him. But I do remember the era. And it was very frightening, during that time.
Yeah. So based on what Gloria said, man, in your, just from whatever you can tell us about the making of this documentary, did you go through it with a lot of opposition? Like, how was it for you? Because fear,
So let me just piggyback on like two things. One, something you said and something Sister Gloria said, right? About how, the Hollywood image is disseminated in a way to portray Black people in very negative ways. You see what I'm saying? Because, 100%. So in my town, when Action Jackson came out with the brother Carl Weathers and we saw a black movie star, we were shocked. We didn't know what to do, we didn't know what to think, we didn't know what to say. Right? There's this black movie star. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in my little town, Action Jackson became like a cult film, right?
Yeah.
Because you had this movie where this black dude was the star, right? Going back to what Gloria said about you couldn't be outside at a certain time. And this is why I call the film Jim Crow Goes to Haiti, because they imported a lot of the practices here to Haiti, right? So the occupation imposed martial law in Haiti. So if the Marines caught you outside past a certain time, you could be shot on sight, right? We all know that in the antebellum South, for black people to move about, they needed passes to show that the master had given them, this pass to go from here to there. It was the same thing in Haiti, right? In the countryside, if you were caught without a pass that the occupation gave you, you could be shot on sight as well, because they will take you for a rebel or a terrorist. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's why I give the film the subtitle Jim Crow Goes to Haiti, because a lot of stuff they were doing here, they went to Haiti and sort of implemented the same practices, right? So now, in terms of opposition, I'll say the only opposition that I encountered was sort of like the lack of availability in terms of information, right? A lot of books written on the occupation are out of print because it's not a story that people care about. You see what I'm saying? So I had to go to like hell and high water to get the books I needed to read on the occupation because, they are out of print. Most of the information are in the archival houses that belong, American archival houses, like the National Archives in Maryland, the Marine Museum in Quantico, Virginia. And I felt a little heavy going into these places because these places are ran by people who served in the armed forces and are back and they're running it. And, when I told them I was working on this documentary about the U.S. occupation, I don't know what they felt, but I felt uncomfortable, you know what I mean? Because I felt like I was going to the master's house to get my own history.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that made me feel a bit uncomfortable, which is another thing that was revealing to me. Your own history is occupied. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because most of the information I needed for the film, I didn't get it from Haiti. I got it from the United States. You see what I'm saying? One of the main characters in the film, Charlemagne Péral, who resisted the U.S. occupation, the American who ordered his assassination, John H. Russell, he, in his own personal collection, even though he's been dead, 90 years now, 80, 90 years, his personal collection still has the personal letters of Charlemagne Péral. Do you see what I'm saying? So not even the letters of Charlemagne Péral, who resisted the occupation, is in the archival houses of Haiti. It's in the archives of the man who ordered his assassination. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So even with Haiti's history, Haiti don't have their history. Right. And then I think that is why I think it was really dope that you named it Jim Crow Comes to Haiti, because in America, those of us that look like us don't have our history either. Right. Because a lot of us all of us were told that we came over here on ships. Which that wasn't true. Right. So whenever you go back and do your history, you find out that not just the internet, when they called the transatlantic slave trade happened, but it was an intercontinental slave trade that took place with the people that were already here. And, and I noticed that too, because in our so-called existence here, we're going by the title of African American, even though you're born here. Right. But then there's all the, the Caucasian people are definitely from some type of European descent, but they don't have to come here and be titled European American, no matter when they're born, no matter if they was born yesterday or, 200 years ago. Right.
Yes. Good point.
They don't have to do that, but we do. So that's what makes me understand that. That's not so much of it just that's just a lie, but that is one of the ways that it keeps people from really going to figure out who they are, because you got them looking in a place that makes them feel like it's so far away that they could just tell you whatever. Like in Africa is so far away, and so we're saying that we're African Americans, then what tribe? Like where in Africa am I from then?
When
That's
do
the
we
key.
become? When do we get to become Americans? You know what I mean?
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
After
Yeah.
everything that you have to do to live in America, when do you get to just be that? Not just
Right.
be some type of subtitle, right?
Right.
We walk around as a subtitle, a colored subtitle
Right.
in America. And so a lot of people don't realize that when they come here. I think that's what happens. They look at the movies or television or however that goes, right? And then they have their preconceived notion, and they come here and they automatically hate us, right? Because
Right.
I watched a clip not too long ago before y'all came on, and it was about a guy who just moved here, Asian guy who just moved here, and he called the police on some kids in the neighborhood. They were outside playing, and he called the police on them, and he told the police that they had a gun, and they was threatening his life with a gun. Well, the guys didn't go nowhere. The kids didn't leave. The kids stayed there. So he called the police, and then the police showed up. And the police, checked them and did all that other stuff and found they ain't have nothing. They was literally just a bunch of 14-year-old kids just outside playing. They didn't have anything, any drugs, any gun, any nothing on them in the sense of what would cause a threat. And he wound up getting in trouble, but from his premise, he thought that he could do that because he was told that, listen, this is what you got to do when you go over there. You got to be against them in order for these people to give you these opportunities. And so that's why I think, us telling our own stories is so important. So I commend you for doing
my
that.
brother. Thank
yeah,
you.
man, because it also goes to show who's really holding everybody's history, and it's America, right? So even for us, like if we really wanted to know where we was from, I promise that we could probably do the same route to figure it out. But most people won't. Why? Because they keep sending us to Africa to say that's where we're from. So now everybody taking trips over to Egypt, walking around pyramids, talking about, yeah, man, this is where I'm from. No, you ain't. You probably from the Congo somewhere. You like what do you mean this where you from? You don't know. So the fact that you are Haitian descent, you know that. This gives you a sense of a base of where to start. Right. And when your average American person that you've run across that looks like us, they have no bases to start. Their base is Africa.
It's
but
funny
they don't have.
It's funny that
Go
you
ahead,
said
Gloria.
that, Rob, because talking about African Americans, actually, if you was to go to Africa, you think they're not going to be as warm and as welcome as you think they're going to be because you're black, because they're saying that you're not African, and you don't really know their experience,
Yeah.
So they don't really embrace you either, like you think they would because you're black, and vice versa. When they come to this country, we really don't embrace them either, like we should either.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, Glo, because they'll say it quickly. Y'all are not from here. Like, everybody outside know where we from but us. You know that? Like they'll tell you, like, yo, yeah, man, y'all ain't from here. Y'all from over there. Y'all ain't from here. And they will tell you in a heartbeat. And then they'll come over here and then they'll be 10 steps above you because they come over and get all these opportunities that you were born here and you don't get. And they look down on you on that end too. Because it was nothing for me to grow up and go to Canal Street or go to New York, period. And half of everything we bought came from somebody that was African.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's like, yo, how you get what you know what? But they came and it was like opportunity after opportunity, but not us. So let me ask you this, Alan.
Yes, sir.
In the sense of your, telling your story as coming here as a young teenager, growing up the rest of your adult life, growing up in America and dealing with that particular version while telling your story in Haiti, did anything inspire you where both cultures you were able to tell it from both sides? Because during that time, wasn't there and this is just you can help me out because we know about the Haitian Revolution, but we don't know about the occupation. Were there American slaves or people being brought over, like black people being brought over to Haiti in order to show them exactly what they were supposed to be doing outside of being told? Because we was told that in certain places over here, they would use those of us that look like us to keep everybody in check.
Right. So the thing is, a couple of things, right, to address everything that you're saying. So let's not forget that, I guess during the slave trade, there were a lot of Haitian slaves were being sold over here, and American slaves were being sold in Haiti and vice versa, right? That's why we know there's like this very strong connection between Louisiana, in Haiti. There's a lot of black people with French last names, right?
Yes,
because
yes.
of that Caribbean connection. I would say that in 1804, after Haiti won its independence, right? It basically was it made itself a free land for any black person that escaped slavery, right? So there are a lot of black Americans. If they escaped slavery, they made it to Haiti. They were given Haitian citizenship, and then they were given land, right? But at the same time, just to piggyback on what you guys are saying about sort of like the internal strife, the internal division, I kind of feel like black people would judge each other using the language of the colonialists, right? So a lot of people don't know this. The first person to be appointed ambassador to Haiti was Frederick Douglass, right? And yet, because of prejudice, what we're taught about ourselves, a lot of Haitians, not a lot of them, but a few Haitians were upset, right? How come the United States give us a black man as an ambassador? Why couldn't we get a white man, right? So this goes again, this internalized self-hatred, right? So during the occupation in 1915, because the United States was such a segregated society, right? There were no black men and women in the armed forces that were sent to Haiti to sort of, kind of like help out, right? So that did not happen. But what I can tell you, if you look at the corvée system in Haiti, if you look at the prisoners, so the corvée system was a system by which the Americans would kidnap Haitians openly and commit them to forced labor, right? Which is very similar to the chain gang system in the South. And if you look at the uniforms the prisoners of the chain gangs were wearing, right, it's the same uniform that the corvée prisoners in Haiti were also wearing. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
In 1919, let's not forget, right? They bombed Tulsa, right?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. They were also bombing Haitians in Haiti, right? So Haitians and Black Americans are among the first people to be subjected to aerial bombardment at the same time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's like our histories are tied together, yet separate based on language.
Based on language, based on culture as well, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, culture, you're right. Culture is one thing, right? But we can visit a place and enjoy a person's culture, right?
Absolutely.
But not being able to understand what a person is saying is kind of, one of them things. Because it's people over here that speak supposedly English and you can't understand nothing they saying because of their accent or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So so that's a thing with not being able to understand a person, but like enjoying a person's culture, because it's the same thing like the Puerto Ricans, right? Same thing about the Panamanians. All of these people in a lot of the South American or the Caribbean areas, their lineage is so much tied to us, right? But they've been told it separately based on language, because we understand colonizers from Europe, they spoke all those extra languages, right? French, Spanish and Italian and all these other things, right? So who they colonize is what the language they speak. Over here was the English, right? So that's why we talk how we talk. But then, like you said something earlier that was funny, because when I used to go down to South Carolina, there was a certain group of people in South Carolina who they would call Geechee, who they were saying was not necessarily their ancestry came from Haiti. Not necessarily.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because James Weldon Johnson uses that culture of the Geechees you're talking about to
Yeah.
make the point how like Haitians and African Americans in the end are not that dissimilar. But go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. No, expound on
Yeah.
that, because that's where I was going
Right.
with it, because I
Right.
was going to say that in the South Carolina, you got that whole thing where the Geechee or whatever, they were a part of the segregation. So all that stuff that took place too. It wasn't just those that spoke a certain English dialect. It was
Right.
all of them. But go ahead, expound on that though, because I
Well,
think
I'll say that. Listen, man, colonialism. Part of what it did is right. It keeps creating, I guess, these divisions again. It keeps teaching us how to harsh each other, how to judge each other harshly, right? Because even here, you'll meet blacks in New York who are hypercritical, right, of the
yeah,
lifestyle of blacks in the South. Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah, mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what James Weldon Johnson, and then we have to remember, right? One of the reasons the occupation ended is because once the African American community found out about it, they took it personally, right? They were like, wait a minute, how come white Americans are in Haiti oppressing the first black free republic in the world, right? So the
Right.
NAACP, turned Haiti into their own pet issue. The NAACP went to Haiti and opened offices there. They had Haitians come here and open offices in Harlem. Do you see what I'm saying? And that campaign was so profound that, the Republican Party in 1920, right, because of the efforts of the African American community, turned the occupation into a campaign issue, right? The gentleman who was running, Warren G. Harding, went to the black community and told them, yo, if you vote for me, yeah, we'll end this occupation. And, he got the black vote, but, the occupation never ended. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah. So, again, when James Weldon Johnson was in Haiti, right, he would compare the cosmopolitan class of Harlem to the
Right.
cosmopolitan class of Port-au-Prince, right? He would compare, the Geechee people in South Carolina, like you were saying, to the countryside people in Haiti.
Yeah.
And saying that even though they practice different religion, they speak a different language, but it's the same sort of customs, the same sort of like cultural sophistication running through both set of peoples. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Gotcha.
I will encourage everybody to read Self-Determined in Haiti by James Weldon Johnson. It's online for free. It's a great essay.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna ask y'all both a question, and if both of y'all can answer this for me. Do y'all think that's one of the biggest holdups from receiving reparations, is because so many people will have to be included in that when it comes to giving us reparations, as sort of whatever they consider us to be, African Americans, because even when you think about Haiti and everything that's going on with like you said, with the occupation, it's still what they give reparations to. What I guess we could call it, to people who have been done a big disservice, an injustice, all these other things is the reasons why they get reparations. Everyone in the world has gotten it except us.
Exactly.
Japanese, Chinese, everybody. So I want to ask both of y'all, do y'all think that's one of the real main holdups of why the reparations whole talk gets tossed out as soon as it gets brought up, is because of how extensive it will have to be? Or do y'all think it's two separate things?
I think it's a lot of things. To be honest, I think it's got a lot to do with prejudices and especially against people of color, especially black people, in
Yeah.
my opinion. And it's just my opinion, but mostly to the black male. I think it just got a whole lot to do with it, because you guys are so loved and so hated all at the same time. you know. So, and it's I don't want to say it like this because I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but it's sort of hilarious in a way, but it's not, because you guys make it hard for black women. But not in a bad way. It's because you guys are so in demand, and that's with every nationality. All the women want you. I don't care what nationality they are. They want the black man. You're very in demand. you're very talented, whatever you can do. You know, you can do play ball, whatever it is, rascal box, whatever it is.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. It's like you got a special gift, you know, in the world. And I think
Gotcha.
that's why you're so hated, you know,
Right.
especially amongst the white community. So I think they're just going to make it hard anyway because of you guys. And that's just my personal opinion.
I know, I get your point, because it's like, then to give it to us, then they'll uplift us, and because we create everything, we wouldn't need them at all. They'll be boxed out, and then everyone else would benefit from it because of how we share anyway. So no, I get it. I get where you're coming from. That makes sense too. I never thought about it from that perspective. It's really because they don't want to see the man raise up in that situation. I never thought about it from that perspective. What about you, Alan?
I just think reparations is not happening simply a lack of power, man. Right? I think we lack the political power to
Okay.
just, I think you're also dealing with an oligarchy who is very, very, very selfish. Let's not forget the Republican Party has been trying to cut Social Security for white folks for as long as we can remember, right? So we know that we have a power structure that is very stingy, that does not believe in the dissemination of resources, right? So they don't want to give healthcare. They're trying to cut back on free education already. Do you see what I'm saying? And I do think reparation is sorely needed. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's not, that shouldn't even be a debate, right? But I just think we need to amass, political power in the same way Japan amassed political power to get reparations for what happened in terms of the internment camps. Do you see what I'm saying? You just need political power, right? Because irrespective of people disagree with you or agree with you, the moment you have power, all that gets to the side, right?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Nah, I like that. So from both of y'all perspective, that's definitely ways to look at it, because the thing is, though, I know that for us, what I'm thinking is that reparations will have to come in more than form of money. That's why I think it's one of those things where it's hard for them to do, because they will have to give land back, right?
Yeah, they have to get land. They have to make you a power broker in terms of the social political infrastructure. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and a lot of the places that they have certain corporations and businesses are on land that they never bought. They just took, right? And then there's certain people who don't know, and we say this a lot. There's a lot of people who are paying rent in a place that they own. They don't know it, right? Or that they family own. They paying rent somewhere where that is theirs, and they just don't know because they never did the research. So because there was a lot that took place, like even when the Great Migration from the South, a lot of people just left things, right? They didn't sell it. They didn't deed it off. They left because they were trying to make a better way when all the jobs moved up north with the factories and stuff like that. So I like this whole premise, man, because this is what education is about, right? Teaching people about their history is one of the best ways for us to get free. And I know it doesn't seem that way, right? Because most people feel like liberation comes from money. But I think information is one of the ways that we become our freest. Because if you don't know where to go, right, then where are you going? And I think that's the whole key, right? We as men, I know it's very hard for us to live in a society where we don't have a vision, right? Because if we don't have a vision and we get people to try to, be a part of us, and we ain't got no vision, we ain't leading them nowhere, it's like almost a waste of time. I think we find our value in that more so than people think our value is how much money we got, right? Would you agree with that or not, Alan? Because I know
Of
for a
course.
lot of men, they feel like our value is only our dollar, like however much.
Yeah. That's like one of the shortcomings of Western society, period, right? You are only worth the money you have, right? And nothing else. That's why, a lot of people are left out of these conversations. People with experience, the elderly, right? They don't figure into our collective unit in terms of how we move forward and how they build movements, because we are only listening to people with money, which has paved the way for celebrities to take over every single movement we have going, even though they might be lacking in knowledge about that particular movement, but their money gives them a seat at the table. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we are a money-centric, a money-driven society where we only value people with money. We only listen
That's right.
to people with money, right? Which is to our detriment.
I want to ask Alan this question. Alan, do you think that there's any hope for Haiti at all? Haiti?
Wow.
Do you think it?
And wow.
Do
You know, I don't think I'm the right
see
person to
turning
ask this
around?
question because I'm just a pessimistic person by nature. I don't even think there's any hope for the United States. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of things we're not taking into consideration when we're talking about building, you know, a more equitable, a more sustainable future. Again, back to the point the brother was making, everybody's just looking to make money just to move up the social ladder, right? But we really need a society where we work less, we live more, right?
Yes.
And we're not doing any of that. But to get back to the question about having hopes for Haiti, I think one thing we need to understand and we need to remember, countries like Haiti or Senegal or Vietnam or Jamaica, those countries exist to function, to serve the same function that they've always been serving, which is to have the resources funneled to the tiny minority that happens to be wealthy. Do you see what I'm saying? Like a country like Haiti and Jamaica, they do not have a right to live, right? I'll encourage everybody to read Naomi Klein's The Shock Doctrine, where it shows you in the 60s and 70s, you had what you call the Latin American miracle, where these Latin American countries were following the American lead in terms of the implementing social policies like the New Deal, and it was working. People were moving up the social ladder. Life was getting better. And, it was the United States government with companies like Coca-Cola and Fiat out of Italy who went down there, overthrew those governments, put people in torture camps, massacred a whole bunch of them. You see what I'm saying? Because they do not believe you have the right to live in those countries. Your only right is to be part of the labor force to make cheap goods for Americans to buy here, right? So until there's some sort of generational shift in how we think in terms of foreign policy, I'm just not optimistic for Haiti, right? Because the thing is, Haiti's part of a universal constellation, and until that constellation changes completely, Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad, they remain the way they are today.
I was sitting here thinking, and I was like, there's a lot of people from over here who try to represent Haiti, like Wyclef. I know at one point he was over in Haiti trying to bring some type of awareness to it.
Yeah.
Is it because of? Do you think? And I mean, I know you said already that there's no hope for Haiti, but we know Haiti has a bunch of natural resources, but they also is a place that grows a lot of their own fruit and all of these other things that people consume throughout the world. Because I was studying futures and commodities, because whenever they started talking about tariffs and all that, when this new president was coming in, and they kept talking about I'm a tariff, I'm like, you gonna charge them for what though? So that's what made me go look and figure out, oh, that's what he talking about. He talking about onions, he talking about lemons, he talking about bananas, he talking about all of these things. Like, yo, if you want to sell this over here to our people, I'm gonna tax you this way. If you don't, I was like, that's what it is, because we over here buying all this stuff, but we could grow everything that we're buying from other places. But then I realized the means of how they was able to position that way. They buy the things from here, sell it to us, and then in turn put military bases in those other countries, right? So we see that that's the play. But what I was thinking was, is there, for Haiti itself, is that because of us over here in the United States not investing in Haiti? in the sense of being able to turn it into a place where it could be like a tourist destination, or, you know, actually doing business with the people in Haiti in order to bring more of an economy there that,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
even if it's more of that type of economy.
yeah. Well, you wouldn't be allowed to do that. You see what I mean?
Oh,
Like the
really?
system is not designed for you to do that. So let's take the example of the Creole pig, right? So the Creole pig was like a main staple of the Haitian economy, right? Like it sustained so many communities, okay? And then what happens when I believe it was Jimmy Carter or maybe Ronald Reagan who gave in to the pressure from the meat industry here? They had the Haitians slaughter the Creole pig, right? And completely decimated the local economies in the country just so they can import American meat into Haiti, forcing the Haitians to buy their meat. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Uh,
let's take a look at what Bill Clinton did, right? For a long time, man, Haiti was feeding the rest of the Caribbean, right? The Artibonite region in Haiti, it's known for its rice, okay? So with the NAFTA, which is the North American Trade Agreement, right? The United
yeah.
States, the Bill Clinton administration was able to sue the Haitian government because the Haitian government were charging tariffs into food coming into the country to keep its own production competitive, right? The US government, it's so funny. Well, you know, the president here was talking about we need to impose tariffs, but the Clinton administration sued Haiti because they were imposing tariffs. So that completely
Mm,
decimated the rice industry, the rice farmers in Haiti, where they were forcing Haitians to buy, you know, cheap rice from America and abroad, right? And sometimes the rice they sell you in Haiti, it's so bad. Like sometimes you're just
yeah.
eating plastic. You see what I'm saying?
Plastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
sorry, my
So
son is just
yeah,
saying that
man.
loud.
I
We got
feel
a
that, man.
visitor, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So that's why I was thinking about, you know, so many things are being done to us on purpose. I think because of our language barriers and different things like that. And I mean, not so much the culture, right? Because like I said, culture is relative. People can adapt to other people's cultures. They do it all the time. And like you said, when you first came here, you came to New York, it seems like, right? Because you
Yeah,
went to
yeah, yeah,
Queens.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody all from all over the world lives in New York. So you know, I'm from Jersey, right? But I'm from North Jersey. That's like 30 minutes from New York. So we
What
grew
part
up
of
around
Jersey, bro?
East Orange.
Okay, I grew up. I spent 10 years in Bergenfield. I went to school at William Patterson University. That's where I studied film.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha. All right.
yeah,
So I was gonna say, like, growing up, we grew up around pretty much every nationality,
right, right,
right? Everyone. I mean, of course, more Puerto Ricans than anybody, right? Because we inhabited that northeast area, Puerto Ricans and blacks. But what I'm saying to you, every nationality we grew up around, the Haitians, Jamaicans,
right, right,
Russians, Ukrainians. I mean, Japanese, Asians, Filipinos, a lot of Filipinos, but you know, like just pretty much people from all over the world, right?
right.
We would grew up around people that were all from all over the world, but
Mhm.
I didn't know nobody from New Hampshire. Right, so you could be. I didn't know nobody from Oregon, right? So, but
Right,
in my
right.
little
Good
area, I knew
point.
people from all over the world, but not
Right, right,
in the United States, right? So, culture is something that, you know, growing up in the North, it's easy for us to adapt to, right? Culture,
right,
because that's where we grew up around a whole bunch of different people.
Mhm.
But what I'm thinking is the language barrier keeps a lot of the communication between places of people who need to kind of figure out a way to work together.
right,
And like I said, you know, the way you said Haiti is set up, that got to be a political thing to get that straight in.
right,
And we don't have enough political power, like you said. But if there was ever a conversation of what we need, this will be part of it, right? Like saying,
definitely.
yo, this will be a great thing for people to start trying to figure out how to get power enough to be able to liberate our people in different places that they're already supposed to be free. Because in Haiti, yo, whenever the Haitian Revolution took place, it sent a shockwave throughout the world,
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? That yo, you're gonna have to fight for yours, period.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the way that translated, right? Because even Marcus Garvey, like if you think about it, a lot of the things that he did whenever he tried to come up with that transportation system through ships,
Right.
Mhm.
right? But he was in Haiti. You know, going back and forth, like the way that I saw certain people that were coming out of Haiti really got a mindset of how to really get into that real bag, like to get to that real money. They all got taken out, right? But the idea, so I mean, like the Haitian, right? Like there's some brilliant people sitting over there in Haiti somewhere who just need the opportunity to get it done.
Right.
Because there have been some great people that came out of Haiti already that have done some really huge things. But again, we the barrier between languages keeps us from communicating in a way that helps us to understand what we need. I mean, or
I
do you
think
agree or disagree?
yes, I think that Alan, once he gets his things going and get the proper funding and stuff like that, he can go over to Haiti, make the movie, hire people, actors, or from there, create money, create wealth right there in Haiti. It may not help everybody, but it helps somebody.
Right.
Ah, that's true. That's another thing to think about because they probably will. And then with products and branding, there would be a way to be able to shift the culture that way and be able to add some money to the economy through that, right? Especially through film. It will take that type of mindset, right? You're right, Glow, because
Mhm.
yeah, definitely, because they doing it all the time. Like we see them doing it in France right now, or in Paris, all those places.
Mhm.
They're doing it right now. All the actors over there, they're putting in that work, and it's bad over there for them.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's as bad as it is in Haiti. You know what I mean? But
right.
it's bad for us in all of these places when it
Absolutely.
comes to
Yes.
that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So yeah. So Alan, what's next for you, man? I mean, this is still big though. How are you going to continue?
Yeah, thank you,
Um.
man. So I want to be the, I want to, I'll be the first. I'll be blah blah blah. This will be the first place where I announce that my next big project. I'm calling it From Port-au-Prince to Harlem with Love.
Oh.
It's an exploration between the relationship between African Americans and Haitians when they came together to fight against the occupation. Because I didn't get to put that part in the film. It's a really inspiring story that I want to tell. You know what I'm saying? So be on the lookout for
Oh.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that going to be another documentary or
It's gonna
full
be a
length?
documentary, man. Yeah, it's looks like I'm a
Yeah.
documentary guy, you know what I mean? So
Nah, that's dope.
yeah,
But I tell
yeah,
everybody, documentarians, they get all the information. So when it's time to do a feature
yeah,
film, you
right.
got one place, one source that you could go from, and you could get that whole film from that one source. So
Yeah. Thank you,
yeah,
brother.
nah, man. We are moving around in that business, right? Of connecting people in the film industry and all these other things. We have an event that we do here called We Don't Wait, We Create. And
Mm,
that's like the premise of building that type of event, right? Where we could
okay.
bring all those people in the industry together so that way we can figure out who can help with who. Because
Gotcha.
think about it. Where you located? Where are you
I'm
located?
in New York, man. I'm in New York. I'm in Long Island.
All right. So you in New
Yeah.
York, right? So
Yeah.
look, let's say like in New York and in Atlanta and all these other places, we hear all the time about the oversaturation of these places when it comes to
Right.
the arts and filming and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
very seldom do we hear that those people actually found people in other states and connected with them and got their projects done. I think
Right.
that's the thing, right? You go to a
Right.
place heavily populated in what you do. Because I hear people all the time, even we in North Carolina, right? So we hear people all the time saying, hey, man, I'm moved to Atlanta, right?
Right.
I'm going to move to Atlanta. Now, you ain't been in nothing and you're going to move
Right.
to Atlanta, right? You don't have your own anything. And you're going to go to Atlanta. Now, listen, you know that it's a million people in Atlanta that's trying to do the same thing.
Yep.
And
Right.
then, and only
Right.
3% of people who are in the union are working,
Yep.
Mm,
right? So whenever you put those two eyes together, it will behoove you to try to find people who are working,
That's right.
not go to a place that you feel like somebody's going to give you something
right.
Yes.
because that's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking about with North Carolina because so many major productions have been done here in Wilmington. I mean, some of the biggest movies ever have been done here. And because of the tax, a lot of those people moved out,
Right.
do films other places. But the studios and everything is still here. They're still doing films here. They're still doing television here, regardless. But that's where I found out where the most pieces of what people need are right here. It's the most weirdest thing. It's like all of those pieces, whether it's crew, from DPs to lighting to sounds or whatever, everybody is in this little area, just spread out everywhere. But they all here where they're ready to work versus you having to go to a place and having to chase a person. If you ain't in the right clique or if you ain't got the right, hey man, we can't really work with you in that sense. So yeah, man, maybe at some point, man, we could try to figure out a way to connect you with the movers and shakers that are here, man. You could possibly get some things, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes down to researchers or, just so much stuff. All the universities are here. So we probably could find a lot of information in some of these libraries that are here.
Yeah.
Which most people don't think about that either, especially the ones that have African American studies, like all the black, HBCUs that are here, right? It's so many that are here. They have a library.
Yeah.
And most people never think about that. Like, yo, let me go there and try to find, because the information is there. It's in their libraries, right? So it's so much of different things. So hopefully we can continue to connect, man. And
absolutely, man.
You know what I'm saying? Build and try to find ways to help, push your project, before I go any further, the Forgotten Occupation. I saw that it was, on a run in Los Angeles and different places.
Right.
Is there a place that people could go view it? Like
online, man. Hey, if you have Tubi, it's on Tubi for free, or if you rather buy it on Amazon or Apple TV, you can, absolutely. If you have a library card, it's on Canopy as well. You can just get it on Canopy for free. So Tubi, Canopy, Amazon, Apple TV, YouTube movies as well. It's there.
YouTube movies is all there. All right, bet. That's dope, because that's next. So Tubi and YouTube, we know for sure we could find the links for them and share them out.
Yeah, please, man. Don't let the algorithm bury my film. It's bad enough the occupation is forgotten, so don't let this movie be forgotten.
Yeah, man, for real. So what we got to do is, when you get a chance, man, just send Gloria the link, man, especially your YouTube link. And we will, on our end, I know on my end too as well, I'll push it and move it around and all those other things. You got a trailer for it?
Thank you, my brother. Absolutely, yeah. If you go on the website, actually, the forgottenoccupation.com, man, you'll see the trailer, you'll see everything, yeah.
Okay, bet, because at my event I am showing trailers, so I could possibly just show you a trailer at
so
the
I'll
event.
send the trailer to Gloria as well. She can forward it to you, yeah.
Yeah, man, that'll work, bro. All right, so look, man, before we get out of here, man, because we only got a few minutes left, man, I wanted you to, whatever you feel like you wanted to let the audience know about, your films, or any inspirational, motivational quote you might want to give them, because we know that being a documentarian is not easy, right? Telling a story of your own culture and history is not easy as well, too, because you can get backlash from your own people. Hey, man, you ain't say this, you ain't say that.
That happens all the time.
You gotta give me time, bro.
That happens all the time. Yeah, I'm
for real?
Still getting that. Yeah, I get that all the time. Every screen I go to, there has to be some person, well, why don't you talk about this and about that? I'm like, can't please everybody. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, man, right? So we know that that's part of the thing. So anything you want to leave the people with, man, this is your time.
I'll just say, listen, the cavalry is not coming. No one is coming to help you. No one is coming to rescue you. You got to do everything on your own. I started this project. I knew nothing about documentaries, about how you operate a camera. I had no money, no connections. But somehow I pushed through. You know, man, I got this made. Sean Penn has seen it. He wrote me a personal letter. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I just came back from Switzerland screening the film. I'm headed to Norway in a couple of weeks. I'll be in the Netherlands. We got shows coming up in London and Paris. And I'm doing all this without any sort of major industry backing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I know they say it's good to network to know people. However, the most important person you're ever going to know is yourself.
That's right.
Have
faith in yourself and believe and get things done.
Facts. Now that's a message. That's what you leave with the people. Now, if somebody don't get inspired behind that, they don't want to get up. They want to stay right where they are. And that's for them. But other than that, man, I felt all that, and that you're 1,000% right. Nobody's coming to save us. We have to be willing to save ourselves, and you have to believe in yourself, yo.
Yeah.
And so, with that being said, Glow, you got anything you want to leave the people with?
No, just support. Help support our Black community, filmmakers, producers, or whatever. They need your support. Even if you don't do it in money, if you don't have money, you can at least go onto the website, look at the work, like it, whatever, get it out, tell somebody, support. Let's help each other.
That's right. That's a great message to lead the people with too, y'all. Support is free. Don't wait for the world to catch on. Then you want to come out like, I've been knew them. No, you didn't. Because that's what's going to happen. People always want to say they been did something after other people catch on to it. Right. And I also want to say thank you to both of y'all as well, because, you know, Glow, especially because you're the connection between the people that are doing it big out here and the platform. And I want to thank you, Alan, for coming on, man, and even telling us the story, man, because there's something that people don't know about. I'm gonna be honest with you. They not heavy, right? I'm sure most Haitians know about it, but like
not even. Yep.
Yeah, see? So that's something that everybody need to know about. They know about that revolution.
Yeah.
But they don't know about the situation that took place that caused that revolution to really, you know, come to fruition the way that it did. So I thank you again, brother. Thank you again, Glow.
You guys.
And so don't go nowhere yet. I'm gonna play my outro and then we'll talk a little bit behind the scene. But to the rest of y'all know the vibes, man. Y'all gonna see us each and every time right here on Convo Corner. We talk to some of the world's most creative people and the people that believe in themselves. So y'all know what to do. Until next time. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So until then, peace.
Let's roll. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah. She so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah. She so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. She give me